Hello, and welcome to the CCR. Today we're going to be looking at the greediness, and we're going to look mostly at the supporting in CCR and whether it's good or not, because there's been some talks. And I just want to go through to the efficiency and also maybe on how to construct a good breakthrough. I think part of the reason I'm doing okay is I try to set up some breakthroughs and exploit, and we're also going to look at what happens if those breakthroughs doesn't happen or nobody is willing to play. And we're going to talk about the players, and this is not going to be more on me, since my style I have some interesting things but not the majority of that. So the lineup is me, LSR, then there's Fantasy, which is our almost bottom ranked player. We have Glass, aka Melkaven, hanging here in the middle. We have CJ playing the support position, and we have Vitten on the bottom. I kind of like our lineup versus their lineup. I think we should be favorites as long as we don't get shocks. But you know, with shocks and the flak and their bottom players are okay. It's a question of whether the glass can hold off the shocks. What will CJ do? What will I do? But Shocks doesn't think so. Shocks points out that the Flaka needs a stronger starting spot, and we have CJ on the bad starting spot as well. So this is the main gist of the video. We're gonna look at how efficient can be support, since both of the teams are playing like fancy supports here. We're gonna talk about the openings there and what I think is good and what I think is bad. And we're just gonna look at maybe Melkaven's play in the middle, my play, and where I think the game went wrong for the losing team. So, opening up, I'm gonna be maximum greedy. I'm gonna place triple mix. Glass is opening with, well, he's just checking out my builds, so. Two solars, that's interesting. Noob is gonna go for the bot lab. That's fair for the support position. This guy's gonna do his stuff. Flacco went mix solar into vehicles, I would believe. Yes, I don't think that's really good though. Shock's doing really efficient build. I like this one. I think 2 mechs into the solar into the lab is a good opening. Here we see double mech lab into LTT. Obviously you will choke, especially if you try to produce, so this build is not good. For me, we could maybe see what my goal is. Since I'm just in and I'm rusty, I'm gonna just set up my LTT defense, covering both the bottom and the top, so fleas can't run through here. And just gonna go and make a frontal base while singing a song in a chat. I don't think it's particularly good, but you know, if you're rusty, you can take the metal edge. Unless you get rushed, you should be in a fine spot. You should be pretty well set up, especially if you plan to play one lane, as I do. So there's some fleas coming in from the shocks. Fantasy doing his best to basically cover. I really like his setup. He's slightly exposed here, but he has Instigator on the way. Glass is making construction bots, securing LTTs, playing so far safe. Let's see. This I do not like. I think 2 LLTs here is not good. If you want to place one, I think maybe here is fine. And because you really do not expect something to run there, and if it does, you should have like maybe a couple of, like 1 or 2 weasels there, which you could then use for the front attack. I'm going full greed style here, taking the energy storage before the lab. So my lab is literally the last possible lab with everybody. People are already getting out. Chris Ravy doing, I think obviously he's TS6, so I'm not going to judge too much. I think this LTT positioning makes sense. This LTT positioning should be maybe then here. And if he wants the frontal, maybe put one here near the mix. But rest of the LTT should be skipped. Flaka fighting hard. You have like one AK round on here. I think CJ. It killed the mechs before. It basically ran through here. And should remake the lost mechs as soon as possible. Alright. One thing about the support play, since we're going to judge, is you can see Flaka, even with delaying and making LTTs in his base, he is in and out and secure double mixes, while CJ is still chilling in the base. Especially if you need the boost and you need the boost with the air. Your build needs to be tight enough to afford the fast nano, but you cannot afford anything. That's the big thing. So I think you should boost the nano. Do not make the air. Maybe make an LTT and move your comm through, and which would then allow you to basically have a nano and build your air lab with the bots. I think that would be better. I'm finally done setuping. I'm actually producing my first units and moving out very late. But, you know, it's fine. I want to come with the punch. Either way, Fantasy Zero working on some light reconnaissance, fast-moving tanks. Now it's good that the commander is here. But if the troops run in here, you could also get a mix here and could LTT, like maybe here. Witten's doing good push. Squally is, I guess, spending his resource, putting a lot of AA, because somebody did call air, so people are starting to overact while there's nothing made yet. That's one good thing, like if you manage to get like one scout out, then it's not good. I really like the defensive positions set up here. Doesn't help all that much, but you know, we don't lose the mechs. My AKs could respond. The Flaka's units still fly in. Let's take a quick look at the economy. So we're slightly leading. I'm with the 4K. Melkhaven with 4.3K. Shocks is also on 4.2K. So generally it's just like maybe my slight mix lead, a little bit faster mixes with the commander. While we are basically not ahead on the army. Shocks tries for plays here in the middle. Trying to push the quote-unquote air player, and Noob has to kind of cover. Witten's getting squished since CJ is playing a support position with the bombers. It means basically we have a big hole gap here, and Shocks is also trying to pound. If the Squally would made a quick running units, let's say a similar count to this, or let's say a tanks, you could just punch through here and completely obliterate us, especially with the Shocks support. Shocks is playing the bots. Starting to slowly apply the pressure to the Flaka while defending against the weakest player there on the top. That takes a lot of pressure off the Fantasy. Fantasy is covering for the Melkhaven and sieging them, which means the Shocks has to spend a lot of attention against the artillery in order to be able to do something, and can't really invest much. My base, I'm just being greedy. I'm pumping the energy for the whole team, just slightly more. I'm probably leading on the advanced solar count already. Making a lot of Akos. Witten is holding fine, which is okay. Yeah, so let's take a look at the damage. So Flacca has dealt 4.2k damage. Noob hasn't done anything yet, but his bomber raids are coming. I'm preparing for a play. As you can see, I'm putting down energy storage. I'm I probably should wait now to fulfill energy while cutting the production. I do cut the production here in order to go for the juicy combo here. I think this is a really good play here, especially we have nearby fantasy forces ready to hop on. I have like the AKs and then the Rocco's, so I'm just gonna move in and put my skirmishers to fight the incoming TS player if he wants to react. Glass is returning to the middle, which is really good news, and we have a support coming in from the back in the form of the bombers. So let's see the damage before. 1.2k versus, so even 1k. Let's see how much we get bombing on the enemy eco then. So everybody's pretty much ready. You have to count in that there's 7 turrets. So doesn't kill the mexes, does bombing, maybe gets 2 solars. Yeah, I don't think bombing these is particularly good, but if you can take something out with the blast, should be fine. So loses a lot of bombers, like a 4 or 5 bombers, not that bad. Flock is demolished either way, so it's pretty even on the spot, and the commander's at least finally holding here. Glass is having some energy issues, so CJ pings me that he has blade wings in a position and we could assault. I'm kind of seeing it, but since I just sucked most of the resources, I'm unable to kind of figure out like what do I want to do. I need to regroup. I need to regroup my forces. So I send my stuff in. Not much going on. Let's see the Melkaven. Melkaven is sieging with the stumpies. Consistently microing. Shocks in the middle is already fighting on a broke style. It still has like a bunch of stumpies, but the sieging is just getting to him slowly. Chris Ravy on the top is trying to fight my Zerg tactics. And I'm probably macroing in the front and trying to let's see in the bottom. So Snayed has pushed the most, so I think this game is up to the Snayed to try and force something. He is pretty well off, and he's the only one that could maybe do something big, especially if he can combine the forces with the Squally. Because Snayed and the Shocks has to work together real efficiently, because my punch through is gonna come eventually, especially with all the resurrection, with the AKs. I'm in a really good position. I still have 2,000 metal in the bank, so that means a lot of AKs. And we have paralyzers from the CJ, which could stop, and like if you do not have the AA along with you, and even if you have, it's easy to focus it down. And Shocks tries to go for a little play here, but ooh, I did not spot, but Melkaven had like 16 stumpies kill a commander here, Snide, along with some army and some other positions. So Snide is officially without a commander. I'm trying to run in and see what I can force from other side, because I think this guy has been like already skirmished to the death, and Sharks does the self-destruct as it sees it coming in. So which means I could do do whatever I want. Glass has secured the body, so he's getting good metal income, which is maybe adding to the team as well. So after this, the game is pretty much settled in. If we rate the support players, I think the main thing you should do is you push your commander quickly to the mixes, make a minimal amount of defense, and or at least like maybe one, and try to make sure that your allies protect you more. And once you push through here, you can get a quick nano with a transition, or maybe even two, and try to push with your commander and take the mixes and fill in any holes with LTTs as a support player. Flaka did get up like vehicles on two mixes. It's a little bit sketchy, especially if you should probably cut it to like 4 power, but I don't think vehicles are the best support units. I think the support positions should focus on bot play into a lot of solar, like efficient solar, especially since you couldn't get away with ticking, and then you can go maybe like vehicles and all that good jazz. So Chris Ravy is trying to micro. Like me, I'm trying to micro. I get the commander, and I think from this point on, they have like one commander, and their whole land's exposed after the shock self-destruct. So I think we could just skip it and finish. So in short, that was my thoughts about support positions. So on the total, the noob hasn't done much damage. I think most of the value came from the paralyzer, stuns on my attack, and as well as securing the breakthrough. The bombing raid was kind of spoiled due to the scout, so make sure to not let the scouts in, and which is harder said than done, but you have to probably lock here and hope that the guys lock here and lock here as well, so the scouts cannot get in your back and see your air plan. But even with the spottage, I think there's some beneficiation because the enemy definitely did overmake AA. And one thing you could also do is maybe try to send 2-3 scout planes, but don't make bombers and take back to the vehicles. With a that could also trick the opposing team into investing too much in the anti-air defenses while you actually plan for a heavy tank raid suddenly out of nowhere. All right, guys, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed. See you.